So let's talk about setting unit lengths. This is actually kind of an interesting capability, and it can be used for a lot of different things, but there are some caveats to it. And I'll try to give you an example or two. So let's take a look at what the requirements are to set the unit lengths using a table. So as you can see here, it's going to take a table as an input. It needs the item name and the unit lengths are the two columns that it's mainly interested in. Those can be wildcards. And by default, it's going to convert dims. So before we run that, I'm actually going to do a table create, and I'm just going to write out length units, and we'll put it on wow tab. And I'm going to start off by first getting the length. So we'll do a table get length units, and we're just going to write that to here. Now, by default, it's going to take the active model. So in this case, I'm going to say I want anything with a b.prt in it. So I'm just going to run this as it is. And we've got, you can see we've got two parts in here that have matched this. We can see the unit lengths of those things. So they're both in millimeters currently. So we've got the basket and the backplate. Now, if we want to transform this and actually turn this into something that sets, I'm just going to reuse that table that's there. And it looks for the length units, which we already have a column of. So I'm going to just change this from millimeters to inches. And I'm going to recycle that table. And I'm going to send it back in as a reference for those changes. And then as a final step, we'll do a regenerate. And I'll just do a table regenerate and use that same table. So every model that's in that table is going to get the change made to it, and then every model that's in that table is going to get regenerated. So when we run this, you'll notice that you don't really see any changes here because we didn't affect anything. But if we come to, let's see what was in our list here. So we had basket. So if we quit this window and open up the basket that's in session, and we'll go take a look at its units here, we'll see that it's been set to inch, pound, seconds. And if we go take a look at the backplate, we should see the same thing. So let's go take a look at the backplate and model properties. Sure enough, inch, pound, seconds. Okay. So let's go modify something that needs a little bit different setting. We'll actually just do this manually. So let me pull up our speaker assembly here. And let's take a look at the magnet that's in here. So let's put in magnet.prt, and I'm just going to come over and say I need that in inches, and let's also do maybe the front plate and make sure that that's in inches also. Now, when I run this, you'll notice what happens. Our model for that magnet got really skewed and out of position. And the reason for that, and also the front plate, the reason for that, if we open this model up here, I want you to notice that we have a parameter in here called height. And that parameter, as you can see, is currently set to this dimension right here. So there's a relation that's governing that. And if we come back to our tools and take a look at the relations on this, you'll see that that's actually being driven by another value. Now, this is just to point out that parameters do not scale when you're converting units. So if you do have relations that are driving your model's geometry and you go change the units on them, the rest of the dimensions will change unless you tell it not to. But fundamentally, everything else will stay pretty much the same. So it's just something to be aware of. But the functionality is pretty useful, and you could, of course, this change that's occurring here could occur as the result of a Power Query. So you could write the data out, do a Power Query conversion, write a new table out, and then reference that table in as the final update just as easily.